Okay, so I just really wanted to get on here and just talk a little bit about my thoughts regarding stress and anxiety with kids and how we need to really work on trying to stop the cycle. And so I was talking with a parent earlier today, and we were just talking about um, what chronic stress does and how once we start to get stressed, how it just doesn't stop, and how just little triggers can start the whole gamut of I get upset about something and worried about something, and then can actually turn into a panic attack. So I wanted to just kind of explain a little bit about why that happens sometimes and what we can do. And so what happens with stress is that we experience something, and it might be a memory, it might be a thought, whatever it is that comes in, and our brain is registering that as, it doesn't really know that it's a thought, it just knows that whatever it is happening right then and there. If it's a memory and you're remembering something, the brain is processing something as, this is happening right now, this is very, very real, and so I'm worried about something, and it's very, very real, and the body senses it as a danger response. And so the body starts to get anxious, it goes into fight or flight, those stress hormones start to get dumped, cortisol, epinephrine. The body thinks that it's in a danger response. And so what starts to happen is we have those autonomic reactions. Our heart rate starts to beat real fast, our breathing starts to happen real fast, and we just become really overwhelmed. And what happens at that point is everything is misfiring. I'm misreading every signal. I see that's danger. I'm hearing a sound, that's danger. The noise is overwhelming me. I'm getting overwhelmed. And what does that do? Causes more stress. So it makes my heart rate to continue to go up, makes my breathing to continue to go up, and then I'm having more and more stress. And so my body is then dumping more stress hormones. And so that's becoming stressful. I'm seeing clutter, and I'm seeing people, and they're coming towards me. Oh, that's another stress response. More people that are coming towards me. Danger, danger, danger. So my body starts to get more anxious. Okay. And the body's reading that. You're talking to me, and you might be talking to me very normal. I can't even read your facial cues. I'm reading those facial cues as something that is dangerous, as something that is, you're angry with me, you're upset with me, you're yelling at me. You might be talking in a very normal tone, but that is reminding them of something, or it's triggering them because of where they're at in their sensory processing at that particular moment. They're reading all those cues as danger responses, and it's just heightening and heightening and heightening. And that anxiety is building and building and building to the point where, again, they're in fight or flight. If you really look at somebody's eyes at that point, their pupils are dilated, they're having a sense of panic, they can't think. You're trying to talk them through it, and their level of arousal is going to be really, really up. A lot of times they're talking over you. You might really be trying to talk very low and grounded, and they're way up. They're talking, and they're talking over you, because that's how you can really get an idea about where their alert state is at that particular moment. So those are the stress responses, and it's really hard to stop that cycle when you're in the middle of the cycle. And you can try to talk somebody down. You can try to reason with them, but especially with kids, they can't hear you. And if we leave them to calm down on their own, and they've already had that cycle of stress triggered, you're talking, it could take 20 to 30 minutes for the brain to be able to stop registering it as not being as a stress sign, because the amygdala has been triggered. Everything in that, the emotion center of the brain has been triggered, that danger response. Everything is not safe, and the brain is just not able to calm down. It's going to take a while for the stress hormones, everything to relax, and the body to go back to a normal state, to realize that it is not in danger. So what do we do in these moments? Well, it's really hard, because like I said, if you have nothing to draw from, and your body is triggered that like something happened, it could be a noise, and that noise might remind you of something that has happened in the past, and that has put you into a state of panic. And it's really hard to teach the brain that you're actually not in danger at this particular moment. So again, we need to teach our brains that we're not in danger. And that's where what I like to do is I try to when I'm explaining it to kids, and I'm explaining it to adults, I ask them, like, how big is your box? How big is your box? So I ask people, how big is their box? Okay, so we want to think about your box as being your coping mechanisms, your ability to handle stress. So if your box is really like, and I ask kids, draw me your box. So they might draw me a box that's about this big. Okay, so if your box is about this big, if you think about like when you're pouring something into a cup and that you have a really small cup, okay, how easy is it going to be for that cup to overflow? Well, if your box is really small, it's going to be the same thing. Your ability to handle stress is going to be minimal. And then we kind of explode. Versus if our box is a little bit wider, we're going to be able to handle a little bit more stress. Okay, so you have a little bit more resilience. So I can handle a stressor, I can handle a stressor, I can handle a stressor. That also gives me time for my body to react and to realize, okay, I'm actually not in a stress state. It's going to give me a little bit of playroom to talk you off of a cliff, to realize that, okay, you're really okay. Let's try to see if we can calm down. Let's try to see if we can do some breaths, if we can logically still be able to pay attention in that moment. Okay, and so, but again, if our box is this big, it's not going to work. And that's where I tell parents, and I tell other therapists and kids that I'm working with, you have to practice these calming strategies when we are in a calm state, because the brain at that point is going to go in and pull whatever it is that it remembers. Okay, so if it remembers that when this happened, I went into a fight or flight response, I was stressed, okay, that was my reaction, I'm going to keep having those reactions over and over and over and over and over again. Because why? We've not trained the brain to be resilient. We've not trained the body to be resilient. We have nothing to pull from. We have nothing stored, nothing. Okay? And that's why we need to practice these calming strategies. This is why it's so important to be practicing trying to do breathing when you're in a calm state. This is why we practice doing some of this meditation stuff when we're in a calm state. Because then when you get stressed, the autonomic nervous system is what is activated. And so what happens automatically when you have something that happens stressful and you hear loud noise, I know me, my heart starts beating real fast, and I can't stop it at that moment, because at that moment, everything has completely taken over, and I'm just like, there's somebody at the door. I'm getting really nervous, and I have to really tell myself, my brain, no, there's somebody at the door. It was just a trash can. It was just the wind. All right, I have to talk myself down for that, right? And so, but again, we have got to practice some of these strategies so that the autonomic nervous system's response isn't automatically danger response. Okay, we can actually, if we practice, I know when I start to get stressed, I close my eyes and I start breathing, and I don't even know that I'm doing it. It is an automatic reaction that I'm not even aware of, because that part of my brain takes over. Oh, you're in a stress state. You're not actually in danger. So we're going to take over here right now, and we're going to try to see what we can do to try to help you to be calm. Okay, and to be able to calm down, because we're able to recognize this is actually not a dangerous state right now, but the brain is just going to what it remembers. And that's why we work so hard to try to establish, rewire into the brain that this is what you do when you start to have panic. This is how we do deep breathing when you start to panic. This is what we do to try to help with calming down, to slow our heart rate down so that we don't go, because once that heart rate starts going, then the breathing starts to go up, and that's when we start to get that sensory overload. We might start to get like where the noises, all those different things are being triggered at that point, and we don't even realize, and we really can't stop it. And so it's so important that we practice in trying to do some of these strategies. And that's part of what the nervous system is realizing that, that trauma and these experiences in the fight or flight, it is not based on what the situation is. It is based on how the body is experiencing that. And so if the body is experiencing that as a sense of panic or a sense of danger, then we need to react and need to teach the body, how to respond in those circumstances. Because again, it's how we experience it. It is what goes on inside the body that is framing our responses and how it is that we're going to respond. And we are going to get stuck in this vicious cycle over and over and over again unless we try to start to do something. And so breathing is just one of those different techniques that you can do. And there's different types of breathing, whether it's just taking deep breath in and letting it out, or there's alternate, nasal breathing. I love box breathing, where you're holding for 3 to 5 seconds, where you're so you're breathing in for 5, you're holding for 5, you're exhaling for 5, you're holding for 5. That's an immediate way. For me, that is something that automatically, it activates my autonomic nervous system to help with resetting my breathing and to reset my heart rate. Because when my heart rate goes up, everything can fall apart. So I know for me, I have to get my heart rate back down. And that's something that is very effective for me. I have lots of other things that you can try. There's other different things that you can be doing. We do lots of different things in our therapy sessions. We use vagal nerve stimulator. There's different things. There's different visuals that you can be doing, because again, if you're visually watching something visually, that also really does help with getting the autonomic nervous system. You're not even realizing, but just by watching, the waves going in and out, by just watching those, that again, the brain can start by patterning the breathing to be going in along with what that pattern is. And it happens on a level that we're not even aware of, on a subconscious level. There's so many different things that we can do, but the important thing is that we have to be practicing this when we're calm. Because if you don't do it when we're calm, you're not going to be able to do it when your body needs it. So I hope that this is helpful information for you. This is my puppy here. Okay, this is another good way to just, she's been breathing in the background, but her heart, just by holding her, okay, she's able to help. She can tell that I'm tense. Okay, she's able to help with calming me down too. So it's just finding something that works for you. Sometimes you need a little bit more help with that. If you need help with that, we can help you with that. So thank you for listening. I hope that this information is helpful. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart, because we have to help our kids. We have to help our kids. And we as moms, we have to help ourselves, because if we can't help ourselves, then we can't help them. We need to understand this so that we can help them. All right, let me know how else I can help. You can send me an email or contact me if you have more questions on how to use vagus nerve to help with resetting the nervous system. Thank you so much.